What common item has a feature that most people do not know? Most whiteboard erasers, rectangular ones, have layers. When the bottom is matted and useless, just peel a layer off and it's brand new. This was my number one aha tip of this thread. Your local library probably offers a lot more services than you expect. Besides free ebook and audiobook borrowing, you'll just need a pen, which you can get at the front desk. A lot of libraries have started branching out. Some offer evening classes, or access to online courses, or reading groups, or storytime sessions for young kids. Others still rent out films, or video games, or tools, or even free museum passes to local venues. I think some are also adding access to 3D printers too. Many in my area have had 3D printers for years, but no one knows, so they don't get used. I've started using mine to print minis for my DD game. There are a bunch of 3D models online, and I end up paying $0.20 $0.50 per model instead of $6. It's awesome. They've also got a bookbinding service. You can get your crappy novel printed and bound for dirt cheap. Libraries are great. I have like 4 libraries in my area and none of them have these. I'm always so bummed. I would love to print minis. Your phone's GPS works without a signal. As long as you've downloaded the maps, you are good. To add to this, you can download offline maps on Google Maps. I'm traveling at the minute and am amazed at how few long-term travelers don't know this and download MapMe or whatever it's called. Travelers don't know this and download MapMe or whatever it's called. I know it, it's just not as good. With Google you have to download areas bit by bit. Maps.me lets you get an entire country at once. Maps.me also has much better coverage information for walking routes. It has a lot of alleyway shortcuts that are missing from Google, and if you're hiking then Google's maps are laughably bad for walking trails. On electric stoves, the whole top flips open like the hood of a car so you can clean underneath the burners. I discovered this in my late 30s, blew my mind, edited to add. I'm learning from the comments that gas stoves often have this too, but since I've never had a gas stove, that was news to me. Doesn't work with induction or glass top stoves. Here's a link to a pic of what a stove looks like with the top flipped up. I discovered this when moving out of an apartment. They were doing an inspection to make sure we thoroughly cleaned everything. They popped open the top of the stove and there was a bunch of crumbs and grime in there. We had no idea that was a thing. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that opened, let me wipe it real quick. They wouldn't let us though and charged us a cleaning fee. My apartment has a cleaning fee already written into the lease. I like this better than them trying to stiff me at the end. I won't waste time cleaning when I move out since they're going to do it anyway. I think that's just better for everyone all around. People moving out don't have to worry about cleaning. People moving in don't have to worry about cleaning. Seriously. The house we just moved into was not clean when we got it, bathrooms especially needed some work. Gross. And then in check-in they talked about making sure we hired a cleaning service ourselves on move-out so we'd get our security deposit back. You just know they charged the last family and then didn't do anything about it. Arg. Exact same thing happened to me. We left the house cleaner than how it was given to us, but apparently still not good enough. The airplane bathroom door sign, usually a small metal plate above the lock, can be lifted to force the door open from the outside. That's one way to get an air marshal's attention. To walk in on him while he is on the bathroom? What you poopin'? What the deuce? With most Android phones, double tapping the button that opens the multitask task switcher menu will directly open the previous app that you had open. Makes it easy to swap back to, for example, your browser after having just opened a messaging app. Just checked my messages and came back to this in about 3 seconds, thanks man. And if you hold that button, newer phones can go into split screen mode. Shower heads have rubber nozzles. When they get clogged, you can wiggle them around to clear them. You can also tie a bag of vinegar around the shower head for a while and it'll dissolve all the hard water clogs blocking up your shower head. I try to add extra and put the bag on just as the head is finishing draining down to the tub spout. This gets the vinegar further up the pipes than just hanging the bag on will. It'll suck the vinegar up out of the bag due to forming a vacuum. Witchcraft. May we burn them? The little PS2 logo on an AUG PS2 can be rotated to match the orientation of the console. PS3 as well. Some modern laptops, I know for Lenovo laptops for sure, have drainage channels, so if you spill something over the keyboard it should flow out at the bottom without damaging any of the electronics inside. However, they are not very effective because if you spill something, people usually react by lifting and tilting the laptop to try to prevent more liquid flowing though, but in doing so they enable the liquid to spill over the channels and onto the electronic components. Not all Lenovos, just ThinkPads. They also have a shutter for the camera. Edit, this seems to have gotten popular. Hey, if you want a reliable cheap college laptop that's not a weak Chromebook, consider getting an older ThinkPad. It's a great option not a lot of people consider, and they're easy to upgrade and fix, so you can save a hecton of money. Oh shit, that's why I haven't broken my school-appointed laptop yet. They're made to last, that's why they're amazing. Older models even have roll cages and protection from falling, the hard drive survives a fall. New ones also have a shutter for the camera along with a microphone kill switch. The X1 Carbon also had the Apple Touch Bar years before Apple did it. My X200 has a light built into the top of the screen panel that shines down on the keyboard. Also has a wireless kill switch. The hind legs of your keyboard, or the stands, were at first thought to add to the ergonomics of typing. In reality, they were designed to help computer users to see the keys they were hitting. It is actually more ergonomic for your wrist to type on a flat keyboard. I knew it. I always flatten them when I go into computer labs at school because it feels better to use them like that. I'm choosing to believe you and not check because it confirms my previously held beliefs. When playing Duck Hunt on single player on a NES and the second controller is plugged in, the second controller controls the duck. Continuing the not well-known NES feature theme, if you hold down A and hit start from the game over screen in Super Mario Bros., it starts you off at the first stage on the world you ended up at. Where the hell were you 30 years ago? Yeah, I almost just don't want to know this. Me from 20 years ago is furious that I'm just finding this out now. Onesies that babies wear have that weird neck construction so you can pull it down over the baby in case of a diaper blowout, etc. I didn't know this until all of my kids were out of baby clothes. I thought the neck opening was to accommodate their massive heads. But just like when they're born, if the head fits through, the rest of the body will too. Network guy here, you can see which fiber optic strand the invisible laser is being received in by using your phone camera. You can also use the phone camera to make sure your remote control's infrared emitter is working, i.e. the battery is not dead. Unfortunately, this is getting harder to do. Many new phone cameras include an infrared filter that removes the infrared signal. Ran into this while building an ear circuit recently. My iPhone 6s showed nothing and I had to use a digital camera instead. The front-facing camera doesn't have an ear filter BTW. Can confirm on iPhone 8. You can just barely see bright ear sources with the back camera, but the front has little or no ear filtering at all. Newer Swiss Army knives, in addition to the legendary toothpick and tweezers, have a slot behind the corkscrew Phillips driver, depending on model, to stash a straight pen. Also, if your sack has a pen in the handle scales, you can open the hook on the back of the knife, insert the pen, and close the hook over the pen. It helps if you have to do more than just sign a receipt. The hook is also great for pulling zippers on stubborn luggage and Jeep soft tops. Also, the notch under the bottle opener is ideal for bending coat hangers into useful shapes if you don't have a pair of pliers available. Swiss Army knives are basically all features most people do not know, except the knife. Still trying to figure out what that little hook is for. I've heard boot lace tightener, package carrier, think wrapped in paper and tied with twine, and fence barbed wired lifter. I've settled on the understanding that maybe just having a little metal hook attached to a T-handle is not an everyday tool, but when you need, boy, are you glad you have it. From what I gather, it's a parcel carrier, but it just so happens that a little hook is convenient for a lot of tasks.